All right. So, how's it going, folks? We have officially entered 2026. It's a new year, and with a new year, offers the opportunity for a fresh new start. And I know, like, the whole thing with New Year's resolutions can be quite cliche at times. But for me, I do recognize this as a time where there is momentum build up for change, just because it's built in, almost programmed into us this time of year. And so, when we hit these points, uh, I just don't like passing them up. I'm 46 years old now. Uh, you know, it just at some point you need to recognize that time is not on your side, and that we have to take advantage of these opportunities whenever they arise. And so for me personally, I recognize that there's quite a few things that I would like to change this year, because this past year has been a complete whirlwind in my life. If you're not familiar with the situation at all, I had a back injury at the end of the year last year. So it has been now a full year since that happened. It completely flipped my life upside down. And now I am at a point where I'm just ready to turn it around. I'm sick of that situation having so much control over my life, and I'm just ready to try and regain control again. And in order to do that, I really feel that there's some things that I have to change. There's definitely some things I have to change, um, just so that I can have a clear conscience moving forward. That I am doing everything that's in my ability to do, to try and bring about these type of life changes. And so I thought we'd just discuss some of them today. I'm sure, this is a time when a lot of people are wrestling with these ideas. I know it can even bring on anxiety, because you feel pressure almost that this opportunity is in front of you to make some changes, and you don't want to fail at it. And so for some people, I'm sure that there's an element of anxiety that can come along with it. And then if you don't end up meeting these goals that you set for yourself, well, then that can then lead to depression and just these other nasty feelings that we just don't want to be uh, walking around in from a vibrational standpoint. It's just not good. And personally, I do. I see it. We're going into a new year, and I see it as an opportunity for a newness in life as well. And so that's what this one's about here today. I've talked with some people, over the holidays, and I recognize that the struggle is real, man. Everybody is going through their own struggles in one form or another, and it's not going to get any easier. I feel like with the way the world is today, and just the overall dynamic of life and the way that it's changed in so many factors, it's difficult. And I recognize that there's a lot of people out there struggling with this same thing, and I do feel that one of the keys to success when it comes to this is community. It's having other people who can relate to your situation, and that are there alongside you for the journey, for support, for accountability, and just to have that community around you. And so that has been the overall intent of this channel since day one, when I finally decided that I was going to post the first video, and that has not changed. And now that we are running into this new year, uh, I want to really try and grind hard on this and make it happen. And so this is the first video of this new year for me, and I thought I would kind of go through some of the goals that I have set. I don't know if I'd even call them goals, just things that I recognize that I would like to change in this coming year. And if any of those are things that sound familiar in your own life, uh, I encourage you to come on over to the channel, Brad Casper Media. Uh, Give it a follow, stick around. These are things that I plan on talking about um, frequently here in the new year as I move myself and progress through these changes into hopefully a new way of life. And so, like I said, if that's something that you also feel pulled, that you're feeling a pulling towards, uh, you're not alone. You're in good company. So, I took some time, as I would encourage you to do as well, to write down some goals this year, things that are of high importance to me in terms of trying to make these changes, because I feel like they are directly connected to my success. Because I feel like in order for me to be operating at my highest potential as a human being and who I am, at least some of these things definitely have to change this year. And this is just raw talk here, folks. We're sitting at my table, at my fireplace, and just having raw talk. I'm going to throw out some very personal things here. But again, the whole point in this for me is for accountability. I feel like if I'm saying this and throwing it out to the world, then I have to live by it, or I would be a hypocrite. And that's just not a title that I would ever want attached to my name. So, um, one of the things that I have struggled with now for a while is drinking. And if you're not familiar with any of my other content, uh, just a quick little rehash on some things that have happened here in the recent years. In 2021, just after the holiday season, going into the new year quite like this, I got a phone call towards the end of January, and my mother passed away from a massive heart attack. And it was crushing. I mean, I don't have the words to describe the emotions and the feelings that came along with that loss. And I don't want this video to be about that, so I don't want to get into it too much, but I'm sure you can imagine we all have mothers. She was a fairly young mother at 60 years old. And so it was life shattering for everybody, and for many, many reasons. Um, but not only did that happen, but then 3 days later, we got a phone call that my aunt passed away. And my aunt had ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. And we all knew as a family that the time would eventually come. But the fact that it happened 3 days after my mother passed away was just almost unbearable to deal with. I mean, it was just, yeah, unbearable. But you have to find a way. Yeah, you have to just carry on with life, And 5 months after that, I got a phone call that my uncle, who was like a brother to me, he was my uncle, but he was like a big brother. He was a good friend, and in many ways played a father figure in my life, because I didn't have my real father growing up. And so he played many roles. He wore many hats in my life. And then to lose him uh, that soon after losing them, it was just, needless to say, I think you can imagine I was shattered as an individual, just shattered. And it took me years to finally come around. And when things like this happen, you begin to recognize the importance of time and the importance of life and how precious it is and how invaluable your time is. And it made me question where I was at in my life. And through all of that, I began to make changes. And last year, I found myself at the end of the year last year, I was in incredible shape. I had got my shit together. I had been working out for a year and a half. I was strong. I put on a bunch of muscle and weight. I was feeling good physically, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. I mean, there's always work that can be done on all of them, but I felt in tune with my spirit overall. And I just felt like I was back in control of my life. And then I wake up one day and I have this feeling in my back. And as the day progressed, it got worse. And then it got to the point where every day I was waking up from the time I woke up till I would try to go to bed at night, it was there and it was just excruciating pain. And I went through this whole ordeal for like 3 months until I finally was able to get in to see a specialist and get an MRI done because the insurance company rejected it and made me do physical therapy and all. It was just a joke. The entire situation was a joke that I don't intend on ever dealing with again, hopefully. Um, but due to that, it set me back big time. And this entire past year, I've been on the sidelines, not able to really do anything. And especially those things that I found to be a crutch to help me get over, those losses, I couldn't do them because I didn't want to take the chance of re-injuring my back. And so I just had to take it easy. And that's why I say I feel like there's a lot of things that need to change this year. I need to try and get back in control of these things. But anyway, just so that you know, that as a little bit of a backstory and a foundation to what I'm talking about here. Um, when I say drinking, a lot of that comes from those those experiences. It's real easy to lean into uh drinking and other activities, if you will, that help to cope with these things when they happen. And you begin to become dependent on them just to survive each day. And that's the reality for a lot of people when they're going through these difficult times in their life. It's very easy to turn to those things. And I very much recognize that myself and obviously have been there and am there now. And so that's something I recognize that I need to change. And I will say that during that time, that year and a half, I was focused, dialed in on my health and my fitness. And although I would still drink occasionally, it was definitely not something like it has become again since I haven't been able to lean into those things this past year. And so it's been very easy to me fall back right into those old habits that are not good habits. And it's something that I do plan to change this year. Um, and so that is one of them. And I have had this terrible routine. Um, and I feel like I kind of know how it originated and where it began, but at some point I started relying on a big goblet of red wine every night before bed just to sleep, just to be able to get to sleep. Because I would find when I'd lay down, my thoughts would run wild and I just couldn't find any peace. And the only thing I knew to do was to try and drink myself to sleep. And so I would drink a big, and I mean a big copper goblet of wine each night, and even maybe a couple, a night in many cases. And so that one is one that I feel like I'm definitely going to struggle with. Last night happened to be my first night not doing it, and I went to bed last night reading a book, which is also something I want to try and do. And no TV, nothing, no distractions, just reading a book to fall asleep, and no wine. I did take a couple melatonin gummies to try and help, but I think I was about 2 hours in, maybe not even an hour into dozing off, and my wife woke me up because I was in the middle of a nightmare. And weirdly enough, like, it involved my mom and my children were in it, and it was just a crazy dream. And I was like, I guess, like, freaking out in bed, and my wife had woke me up, and she was worried because she didn't know what the hell was going on. And I don't know, maybe it's associated with that. I wouldn't think so, because it's just the very first night. But again, I'm going to be honest with you, I think that this is a spiritual battle. And I'm not going to sit here and deny that it possibly wasn't something like that, because it's just kind of odd that the first night I go without it, and I try to not rely on it for sleep, and I have problems immediately with sleep. And it was a rough night, to say the least, and I didn't get, I feel like, a very good night's sleep. And I think that that's probably what's in my future here for a while, until I can get over this thing. I plan, once I do get over this with the wine, and I know that I'm in the clear and that I have conquered it, one of the first things I plan to do is a fast. And the reason for that is, there are so many benefits of fasting. I mean, even the Bible talks about fasting. And I feel like sometimes modern science is just catching up to what the scriptures have said for thousands of years. But the reality is, fasting is a great way to reset your entire system and to renew your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual life. And it's definitely something that I want to be part of this for me this year. So I do plan on doing, at the very least, a 36-hour, if not a 7-day fast, with just water. Because I've read a lot about it. I've done it a few times, not to that extent, but I know that there's a lot of benefits that can come along with it. And for me, it's even more of a mental thing, that, like, I am just resetting my entire system. And I think that that's a good, healthy way to get back on track. And so that is also something I plan to do here soon. And then coming off of that, intermittent fasting will absolutely be a part of my daily routine, because you can reap some of the benefits of fasting, even just doing it on an intermittent basis through your daily routine, which I have done, like, during that year and a half period. I would do that pretty consistently as well. But again, that's where hitting that wine at night, it would break the fast. And so I definitely wasn't getting the full potential from it that I could have. Um, I want to cut out the garbage from my diet. I mean, we try to eat clean. We try to eat organic as much as possible. We get all our meat from, either I hunt and kill my own meat, or we buy half a cow every year from a local farmer, where it's grass fed, organic, good beef. And then we get all of our chicken and chicken breasts and things like that from local farms as well. And so I feel like, from an eating standpoint, we do eat pretty clean now. And I will say that we eat biblically clean. No pork, no seafood, and a bunch of other things that are just not a part of our diet anymore, that we have been doing for, at least 10 years now, which I think is very good and smart, and that everybody should look into and consider. But I mean, just, it's easy to grab processed stuff a lot when you're constantly on the go, and just, with life being hectic, it's really easy to fall into those bad habits of eating unhealthy. And so I really want to try and get that dialed back in. Um, And something I definitely want to try and do this year, now that I have a lot more time on my hands, is to try and make all of our own stuff. Like I am just done with all of the poisons and the garbage that is in everything that we consume today. I mean, from, food and beverages to like house care items and just all of it. I mean, if you go down that rabbit hole, it is endless. And I am sick of being poisoned by the things that we purchase from the store and in the world. And so I want to try and just really narrow things down to just raw ingredients that have been used for centuries, and make our own food. And in so doing, not only food, but like laundry detergents, soaps, skincare products, just all of it. And I think even in so doing, you will find that you'll save a pile of money there. And like I've said before, saving money is just as good as not making money. And so that's where I'm at. Also, in this whole journey, like for me, it's about minimalism. I'm all about weeding out all the unnecessary garbage from my life, because all it does is just add additional stress and anxiety, and just I just don't want it. Like all I want is what is required to live in my life. And so I do plan on thinning out my closets and just trying to get down to the bare necessities. And I think that that's freeing, and there's a lot of weight that can be lifted off your shoulders by getting organized and decluttering. And so that's also going to be a big part of this year. One of my goals is definitely to read more books. You know, in today's age, everybody has a phone or just a screen in their face at all times. And, you know, we don't have a whole lot of data in terms of time with these things, but, a lot of the studies are showing that it's not good. It's not good. And so I want to try and really reduce screen time and read more books. I think that there's a sense of calmness that comes with that too, that can really help with anxiety and some of those things. So I do plan to read a lot more books, and hopefully I can grow in knowledge, in different forms through reading books. And then I also want to write a book. I'd really like to this year. Part of my program that I designed, which is called Forged by Fire, I want to write a companion book to go along with that program, that describes my journey and how I was able to use that program to progress from the trauma of the loss that I explained earlier to the transformation that I experienced, and then ultimately the testimony, which is what this channel is all about highlighting. And I am confident that that same program can be used to help others to do the same. And so I plan to launch that program this year, and I would really like to write an ebook to go along with it, and even a potential regular book, that goes more into depth into my story and my life experiences. And so I think even that, just putting pen to paper and not typing, and just the old school ways of just reading and writing, and just trying to get back to some of those things is important to me, and something that I look forward to doing this year. And in that, I also really want to try and limit my consumption of social media. It can be very distracting and time consuming. And as a creator now, I want to spend the majority of my time creating, not consuming. And that's also very important to me. And I am a spiritual person since going through a lot of these things. It's what's helped me tremendously to cope and to deal with these losses. And I will be straight up and honest to admit that I have backslidden big time. And I really want to try and get back on track and back in tune with that, because I understand that without it, I'd be missing a key element, and I just don't think I can afford to be missing anything here with trying to progress into this new life that's in front of me. And so, yeah, I plan to read the Bible a lot more, and I even want to try and do it on the channel. And so, if that's something that you also feel, you know, pressed to do, I'll at some point here very soon, I will start doing like a Bible study type thing on the channel. And so, I'd love to see you there for that. Um, and with that, I also want to pray more, because I don't lean into that enough. I don't know why I've always struggled with it. I guess just because of guilt. I think mainly for me is what it is. It's a guilt thing, and so I tend not to do it as much as I probably should. And it's something that I want to do more with my wife as well, over our lives and over our family and our house and just our overall situation. I know that there's power in prayer. I've seen it, and I just need to get over it and do it more. And so that's something that I plan to do as well, and that I also encourage you to lean into as well. Um, Obviously, I want to try and ease into a new exercise routine. I obviously can't go back to throwing weights around like I was and lifting heavy and all that, but there's nothing stopping me from easing into a nice stretching routine each day that hopefully can then evolve to a calisthenics routine where I'm just doing easier things with my own body weight that doesn't, irritate my back too much. I would like to try and get back to getting my 10,000 steps in a day, and that's very difficult here where I'm at. It's the dead of winter, and it kind of sucks. Hunting season's over, and so just to go out and walk in the freezing cold isn't very fun. But I love to shed hunt, and so I know if I can get out a little bit each day and put some miles on with the dogs, I'll get my steps in, and I think that's very important. So just exercising again, because I have definitely fallen off that bandwagon this past year. I've lost all my gains, and when you're at a spot like that, this pinnacle of health, and then you just fall right off of it and you end up back where you started, it's very discouraging and it can be very depressing. And that's something I have to overcome this year, because I don't like the way I feel, and I know how I felt then, and that's where I want to be. And so that's definitely going to be a big part of it. And then I also need to just work on my business and my business plans and get this thing rolling. And this is very much a part of that. It's been a slow process, but I understand that it can very much be that way for the majority of people coming into this content creation thing. But my mind's set on it, my heart is set in it, and I know that with persistence and consistency, just like everything else, I can be successful at it if I give it everything I got. And so that's what I plan to do this year. So that's my spiel. For what it's worth to anybody out there who may be hearing it, for me, I just want to come clean on this channel. I want to be open. I want to be honest. I want to be authentic. And I want to be a resource for other people to feel comfortable to do the same. And so that's very important to me. And I understand that to get there, I first have to pour myself out. And so that's a little bit of it. And there'll be more to come. So anyway, that's all I got really for this one. Like I said, it's a new year, and with a new year comes an opportunity for a newness of life, if that's something you are feeling drawn to yourself. And I'm ready to do it. Hopefully you are too. So let's get it. I'm Brad Casper. This is Casper's Corner. As you can see, this is my little corner of the house that is designated for this for right now, and we are out.